Afternoon, guys. Once again, uh, I want us to today to learn about elements of logistics in international trade. What makes up logistics when you talk about or when refer to the international trade? So there are various modes of transportation in the global chain, and we may first start by understanding the supply chain. So we are told that supply chain relies on efficient management of assets to get the raw materials, parts, and the finished products from one place to another. That is, when you are sending goods around the world, it is always vital to use your transportation resources the right way. So the correct types of containers, vehicles, and other assets greatly improves safety, security, and efficiency. Also, the speed. Now, shipping containers in the supply chain. Shipping of containers and the containerization revolution have transformed how the goods or the transport goods around the world. They are key parts of the intermodal transportation, and the containers are very critical to the functions of the modern supply chain. We know that the invention of the containerization has allowed the easy um, interchange of various modes of transport from rail to ship, from ship to trucks, and all that. So a shipping container is a metal box, which we know, a structure that can be easily moved between trucks, rail, cars, ocean-going vessels, and other transportations quickly and easily. So all shipping containers are manufactured to a common standard that will fit to specific chassis or rail cars and other transportation. So we normally have got like we have a 40 feet container, we have a 20 feet container. Those are the standard containers which are used. And also um, in other markets, we also what called the 45 feet containers. Like in the American market, we have the 45 feet container, which is also being. Now, what role do trucks plays in the supply chain? We all know what trucks are. So they are the main workhorses of the international supply chain. Alongside railways, they are the main ways to move these goods across the land in efficient way. So they are often fitted with the chassis that can hold standardized shipping containers, and the trucks are by far the most common ways of to move these goods in the supply chain. Remember, trucks normally also allows what called door-to-door delivery of goods. Okay, so you can move them from any point up to your doorstep. So they can get to places that the transportation modes cannot. Railways do not travel to all destinations, and air freight is expensive and limited by the weight and available airports. So this makes trucks be the default choice for moving large quantities of these goods. So they move more goods domestically than railways, than water, air freight, pipelines combined. So when pulling a chassis, a truck can move shipping containers quickly. They can move these shipping containers very quickly. They can move them quickly and efficiently. Then chassis in the supply chain. When talking about the chassis in the supply chain, it's also critical to moving shipping containers across the land. So chassis are the hardware bases that connect trucks to locomotives. So where we normally place those or the containers are normally placed on, call them the chassis. So they are designed to accommodate a standardized shipping containers. So they are another essential part of the intermodal transport. So the transfer of goods between various types of transport, for example, trucks, railways, and ocean-going vessels, they ensure that containers can be loaded and secured safely. Then, so chassis also need to be available in the right place at the right time for the efficient loading, and the further transportation of goods. So without a chassis, it is impossible to move shipping containers. So they are very, very vital in assisting in moving these containers. Then we have the rail cars and engines in the supply chain. Now, engines pull rail cars and intermodal rail cars chassis, which distributes product on land and in the global supply chain. So although railways freight is often a distant to sending goods by road, so rail transport still accounts for a good proportions of freighted products. Like we have currently with in Kenya, for example, we have got the what called the standard gauge railways with commonly known as SCR. It is having a capacity to even pull 120 containers at a go. So you see that is helping in a number of ways in that it replaces around 100 close to 120 trucks, and by that if you look at it in another perspective, it is also helping in maintaining our roads. It is also helping in reducing congestions in the roads in the long run. So moving goods by rail is often much cheaper, more efficient, and less environmentally damaging than sending goods by road. So freight railroads are a vital supplement to trucking for moving goods through the supply chain. Um, Through the supply chain, intermodal transport accounts for a significantly part of the U.S. Rail freight revenue. So it accounts for a good number of the revenue that is attained in U.S. because of these rail freights. Now, what role do the aircrafts plays in the supply chain? Now, we have got specialized commercial cargo aircraft that are used to ship freight quickly and efficiently between and within countries. So commercial cargo aircrafts are typically loaded with unit load devices, what we call the ULD, for moving air freight between airports. And due to the higher cost of air freight, it is often used only for the most critical shipping needs. And most supply chains will use it as a supplementary service after tracks and railroads. So aircraft excel in two main areas of transporting goods. One, speed, and two is reliability. Now, aircraft are generally the fastest ways to get freight from one place to another. Vital when time is an issue, and air freight is also more reliable than other forms of transport. So as aircraft are less affected by delays than all the modes of transport. They also, even if it comes to in a matter of security, they are more secure. They are more secure as cases of attacks are very, very rare. If there is one, they are normally very, very minimal compared to other modes like ship. The ships, we have the pirates can hijack a ship. We have got trucks can be attacked by bandits along the way and all that. Yeah, but for aircraft, yes, they're also can be attacked by these hijackers or terrorists, but it is very, very minimal. Now, there's this elephant in the room. Now, before that, there is what called the ULD in supply chain. That is what is mostly used in aircraft. A specialized storage and transportation units mainly used to moving cargo by air freight. In most cases, the ULD are specifically designed for commercial supply chain applications. So ULDs consolidate goods together into standardized pallets or other storage units. So these units can be moved via forklifts and also other machineries, making it fast and easy to load and unload aircraft. So commercial air freight aircraft come in a variety of sizes and capacities. So ULDs introduce a standardization for transporting these goods, thereby enhancing safety, speed, and efficiency. So the right ULD needs to be available at the right time to maximize the throughput and to shorten the end-to-end air freight delays which can occur. Then the All ocean goings, that is the role of the ocean going in the supply chain. What role do ships play uh, in the supply chain? So as we said, large container ships and the ocean-going cargo vessels are the primary ways to move goods internationally. So ocean-going vessels include container ships. We have oil tankers, general cargo ships, and the bulk carriers, and they move goods between international ports in the global supply chain. And these ships are normally designed for rapid loading and unloading and are well served by transport infrastructure for the rapid onward distribution of goods. So the international shipping industry is responsible for around 90% of the world trade. And container ships and other cargo vessels transport vast amounts of raw materials, parts, and finished products between international suppliers, manufacturers, and final destinations. So the NVOCC, that is a non-vessel operating um, uh, common carriers. Now, the NVCC is an ocean carrier that transports goods under its own house bill of lading or equivalent documentation without operating a transportation vehicle. Now, this category, these people do not own vessels, but they normally book spaces with the major shipping lines. After booking spaces, they consolidate cargoes. Uh, After the consolidation, what they do, they issue the shippers with what called the house bill of ladings. While them, they are normally being given what we call the master BL by the shipping lines to cover those LCL cargoes, that is the less than container load cargoes. So they lease a space, as I said, from the ocean carriers or the vessel operating carriers that they sell to their own customers. And an NVCC can be described as a shipper to carriers and a carriers to shipper. So it can be described as a carrier to shipper, or a carrier uh, to shippers. That is what I say. It can be described as shipper to carrier, shipper to carriers, and a carrier to shippers. Well, now, how is he a shipper to carriers? He's a shipper to carriers because he approaches the shipping lines to book space with them. So in the shipping line regards the NVOCC as a shipper. Now, when it comes back to shippers, he positioned himself as a carrier to the shippers. So that's why we say he is a shipper to carriers in that he approaches the carriers, books with them, he books with them a space, and the carriers now consider him as a shipper in that case. Now, when he comes back to his clients now, he positions himself to the clients that I have a vessel to carry your consignment. So what you do, let's consolidate them together, then we ship them as a unit. So that is why he has those two names. So we say that while NVOCC do not usually own their own warehouses, many own their own fleet of containers. In certain circumstances, an NVOC may also operate as a freight forwarder. So sometimes they may also operate as freight forwarders. Now, the importance of NVOCC in the international logistics. Now, they issue their own bill of lading, which may also not necessarily be I said that, so I say that they issue their own bill of lading, which may not be based on any global standard, unlike the freight forwarders. They act as shippers to shipper, carriers to shippers, and shipper to carriers, but not as an agent to shippers. So they are not acting as an agent. Okay. Some of the big NVOCCs own and operate their own fleet of containers. They don't purely depend on shipping line containers. So some of them even have their own containers. They do not generally own and operate their own warehouses. However, there are some big NVCs who also double up as a freight forwarders. So sometimes they can also act as a freight forwarders. Um, Also, um, some uh, some of the big NVCC appoint agents at various ports, pretty much like how shipping lines appoint agents at various ports to handle their commercial and operational requirements, especially those that own and operate containers. So NVCC rarely acts as an agent for freight forwarder. Now, traditional NVCs are covered under the carrier liability uh, as set out in the FIATA terms and conditions. Now, what is this distinct feature between a freight forwarder and NVOCC um, as per last year, that is 2019? Now, both freight forwarder and the NVOCs are classified by the Federal Maritime Commission as ocean transportation intermediaries. So they are all ocean transportation intermediaries. So due to their identical, um, that is the MFC classification, they are considered the same during most transportation procedures, but actually have a number of differences between them. And these differences are especially apparent in the areas of international and multimodal transport. So this is where we get their differences. So what are these differences? Um, so it is said that a freight forwarder is an individual or organization that can handle goods for an exporter or importer through different activities. So a freight forwarder can be an institution or can be an individual, but it can handle goods for an exporter or an importer through different activities, namely managing the movement of goods from one point to another, despite the number of countries that the load travels through, and using one or more transport modes. Now, representing the customer, they also act as the representatives, the interests are in the negotiation of transportation contracts. They take responsibility for handling and processing all cargo documents, such as the BL port document, etc. They provide advice to clients of the correct use of the Incoterms, the letters of credit, bank's clearance. Also, they use their own warehouses or third-party warehouses to store customers' cargoes before and after the shipment. Now, an NVOC works as a carrier. Um, an NVOC works as a carrier, owning or not owning the vessel needed to transport a cargo from a customer from a point A to point B. Now, they develop this activity by leasing or buying available space in existing containers to fill the space with cargoes from its customers. And due to this fact, the NVOCC is considered as a carrier and is responsible for the load in the eyes of customers, customs, and international authorities. So both the NVOCC and freight forwarders are similar, and NVOCC deals with most of the responsibility carried out by a freight forwarder. Now, the following are the clear differences between the freight forwarder and NVOCC to consider when you are planning your shipment. So, a freight forwarder belongs to International Federation of Freight Forwarders Association. So they have their own association known as the FIATA, while NVOCC do not have international association. Note that. Now, documentation used by freight forwarders follows FIATA standards, while those used by the NVOCC do not have a standard documentation format. So they can come up with their own formats. Now, freight forwarders are agents to shippers, while NVOCC are carriers to shippers. Get that? One is an agent to shippers, one is a carrier shippers. The freight forwarders do not operate or own containers, while NVCC manage or hold cargo containers. Then another one, freight forwarders typically own and operate a warehouse, while they use for the cargo they load to and from the airport and the seaport, while NVCC do not own or operate a warehouse. Only larger ones that take on nearly all functions of the freight forwarders own the warehouses. Another distinction is that the freight forwarders around the world cooperate in their operations to reduce cost and improve the time deliveries, while the NVOCC work independently using agents or the third party companies to support them. The freight forwarders may function as an agent of NVOCC, but NVOCC work independently and under their own responsibilities. Now, the above differences applies to for traditional freight forwarders and NVOCC. Now, the current trend, as we speak, especially for multinational freight forwarders and the NVOCC, is to combine services and responsibilities of the two entities for a particular company. So those responsible for the NVOCC and those ones for the freight forwarders to be combined or to be put together. Now, so offering the combined functions of the NVOCC and the freight forwarder, forwarding the client, avoiding the need for the client to contract both a freight forwarder and NVOCC for their customers' needs. So currently, the FMC is considering the idea of modifying the ocean transportation intermediary classification by standardizing these two types of services into a unified concept. So, out there, I want us to call off our tutorial for today. And if you have any question, please don't forget to use comment tab there to post your question. Until next time, we'll start on the multimodalism. Have a good day. Bye.